Patricia here from the Jewelry Making website with a quick tutorial on how to edit your jewelry photographs using PhotoScape. Now PhotoScape is a free software, but I recommend downloading it from downloads.com because sometimes you can end up with extra stuff that you really don't want on your computer. And each time that you open PhotoScape, it will give you the option to update, and I always select no. If you really want to update it for the latest version, I recommend just taking it off of your computer and downloading it again. First, we're going to start by opening the editor, and I have a photograph that I've taken using my Canon Rebel T2i, and this is the full size of the photograph. But what I did was I opened it up first in Photoshop Elements, and I resized it and changed the resolution to 300 dpi, and I changed the size to about 2200 pixels wide. So here is the cropped version that is at the high resolution. And what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to go through all the steps that I use on PhotoScape, and it really is such an easy software to use. It's so intuitive. That's what I love about it. Now the first thing that I like to do is I like to select rotation, and here you have a few options. You can, on the left is rotate arbitrary, rotate 90 degrees, and so on. But I'm going to select rotate arbitrary on the left, and here I can just move the dial at the bottom to the left or the right, wherever I want it to be. And I think I'm going to move my earrings a little bit on an angle here, and I'm going to select OK. Now I'm happy with the angle of the earrings. And what I want to do next is crop it, and I'm going to select on the left here at the bottom, crop. Now I can just select an area like this, and I can drag and move it to wherever I like. I can shorten it. I can move it by hovering on top, clicking, and just moving it wherever it is that I want it. And I'm going to position it right there, and I'm going to hit enter on my keyboard. Now I'm pretty much liking that crop, but I may adjust that later as I make some more adjustments on the photograph. The next thing I want to do is sharpen my image, so I'm going to go back to Home, and I'm going to select the arrow beside sharpen, and I'm going to select 3. Now I don't select anything above 3 because then I find the photographs become too grainy and harsh. So I'm going to select the 3, and it's giving me a nice sharpness there. The next thing I want to do is brighten the image a little bit. So I'm going over to bright color and selecting the arrow. And now I'm going to go over to up to brighten, and I'm going to select middle brightness. Now that's already looking nice and bright, but I'm going to brighten it just a little bit more, and I'm going to select low brightness in addition to the middle. So now you see it's starting to look brighter, but it's perhaps getting a little too faded. So I'm going back down to bright color, selecting the arrow, and up to contrast enhancement. Now I'm going to select middle, and you can see how it's already starting to punch out the contrast between the black and the white and making it look more dramatic. I'm going to do a little bit more contrast. I'm going to select low. Now I'm happy with that. I think that looks pretty good. The next thing I want to do is look at the white balance. Now when you photograph on a white background outdoors, you might notice that you get kind of a blue cast in your white background. So now I'm going down to bright color, and I'm going to select white balance. Now it looks as though nothing has happened, but actually you're going to take your cursor here and just click on the background, and now you see it's taken away a lot of that blue, and I'm going to select yes. Now it's nice and bright, but I'm noticing still I have the background here that I'm not so happy with. because I took this on a Pyrex type of, or rather a Corning type of dish, I can see the edges of that dish here, and I can crop some of that out, but if I don't want to crop it too much, I can also select to feather my image. So I'm going to go back to Home, and I'm going to Filter, selecting the arrow and up to Region Out of Focus. Now when you pull up Region Out of Focus, it's going to either show it in white or black region. If I select black, you see it's showing the black, that it's going to make that the region that's feathered into a black. And you can adjust that with the size and the feathering. But what I want is a white background, or white feathering rather. So now I like to make the size fairly large here. I can take my little focal point here to the middle of my image wherever I like, and then I like to feather it a fair bit, and I don't mind if my hooks are showing, my earring hooks are showing to be a little bit faded. I'm liking that. I'm just going to adjust that a little bit, and now I'm going to select OK. Now I really like the way that's looking, but now I think I have too much white space around my earrings, so I'm just going to crop it a little bit more and move that around and center it nicely, and enter. Now one more thing I want to do with my photograph is clean up any flaws. And now if we go over to Tools, we can select the clone stamp, and that will allow me to select any area that I want, such as the black onyx, and then clone it over here. Of course I don't want a black dot next to my earrings, so I'm going to select on the bottom right, I'm going to select Undo, and that just gets rid of anything that you just did. Now when I want to fix the areas that are flawed, I want to get nice and close, so I'm selecting the zoom on the lower right hand side and the plus, so I can get nice and close, but I can't see the bottom of my earring, so I need to select the screen scroll on the left hand side with the hand, and now I can move it up. Now I can see everything nice and clearly, and now I'll go back to the clone stamp, and I think I'm going to just select the small clone stamp size, and I'm going to click on the area that I like and remove the area that I don't like just by cloning on top of it. And I'm liking that. I see I have a little spot here on the stone, so I'm going to go back to clone stamp, select the area beneath it, and then clone over the little spot. And the next thing I'm going to do is go back to my clone stamp. I see I have a little bit of fiber here that I don't like. I'm going to select a larger clone size, and I'm going to just get rid of that. So I'm selecting the area that I like and cloning it over the fiber, and that's cleaning it up very nicely. And one more little spot here. I've got a spot right here that I want to clean up. Now I do have some more debris here that I'd like to clean up, but you get the idea of how that works. And now I'm going to reduce my image size again. Now I could just save that as is, and I will save it as is for a nice clean white background, but what I would also like to show you is the vignetting feature, and I use this a lot. I really think it adds a nice drama to the photographs. So we're back in the home, and we're going to select Filter, the arrow, and up to Region Out of Focus. Sorry, not Region Out of Focus. We're going back to Filter, and we're going to Vignette. And I usually use Vignette 1 and 2, and sometimes I'll layer them on top of each other. For now, I'm going to select 1. And you see how that gives you a nice vignetting around your earrings. It gives it a frame without being an actual frame. And you'll see this sort of thing a lot in television commercials, on still shots, and sometimes on video shots. So now I've pretty much done everything that I want to do on my photograph, and I'm going to save it. On the lower right here, it'll ask me to save as, and now I can name my photograph, and I'm going to name it Faceted Black Onyx Earrings Long, and then I'm going to select Save. Now I've saved it, but I can still go back into my picture and undo whatever I did if I want to try different things. So that's it for the editing your photographs. I hope you found that helpful, and I thank you for watching. Please visit me on the jewelrymakingwebsite.com.